Hello students, I am Deepthi Santosh from St. Thomas College, Bhilai, faculty from Education Department. Today I am going to deal with B.Ed 4th semester, paper 10, that is Gender, School and Society. And in that paper, I am going to deal with the topic Hidden Curriculum. Now, what is this hidden curriculum? Let's learn about that. See, what you study at school, that is academic subjects. But think about what else you learn while at school. To make this understand, let me make the pyramid. There are so many other things you learn at school. See, for example, this is a pyramid, and in that pyramid, the upper portion, that is a big portion but very narrow portion, what you learn, that is academics. That is academics. Now what is academics here means? Means it consists of all the formal curriculum or the core curriculum. Means which involves all the basics like reading, writing, arithmetic, and all those concepts you learn in this academics. And then what about this lower portion, lower base portion? That consists of informal curriculum, or that is also called as hidden curriculum. See what this hidden curriculum consists of? See, this is a portion which consists of informal curriculum. And academics here, it is a formal curriculum. Okay, and this is informal curriculum, and this informal curriculum is also called as hidden curriculum. And this hidden curriculum, you know what this hidden curriculum consists of? Example like some norms, some values you learn at school. Norms of the schools and values too. That I will tell you in detail. Like rules that schools have, these are the various schools, different schools are different rules. So these comes under the norms, and the values, for example, work hard, try to be polite, and try to be courteous, and you should not steal. All these things comes under values. So all these portions are very informal curriculum part. That is not a core curriculum. That is not written anywhere, but it comes under the hidden curriculum. So schools act as an important institution which socialize young people into certain values, norms. So along with formal learning, like learning basics of language, mathematics, science, reading, writing, all these comes under formal curriculum, and informal learning also exists with these formal learning. This also exists, and it is called hidden curriculum. Curriculum can be both formal and informal. Curriculum can be both formal and informal. Now, what are the things that come under formal? Formal, like so many learning things, like learning activities, different subjects, basic concepts, and here there is teacher-student interaction too. Teacher-students activities are there in this formal learning. That means you learn various academic concepts and basics, and teacher-student interaction also exists here. So what about informal? Informal, it is not formal, as it is unwritten and unofficial and unintended. It is unwritten or unofficial and unintended. These are unintended. Here rules and regulations exist. They abide by many rules. Some written rules are there in formal curriculum or core curriculum. But in informal, it is unwritten, unofficial or unintended, and then that generally is called as hidden curriculum. That is called as hidden curriculum. So hidden curriculum is the unintended curriculum. What it is? Hidden curriculum is, here I'll explain it diagrammatically. Hidden curriculum is actually unintended curriculum. There is no, actually there's not intentionally framed. They are not intentionally framed. They are unintended curriculum. So unintended curriculum, okay, they are unintended curriculum. It consists of those learning experiences. What it consists of? Those learning experiences. Okay, those learning experiences which have both positive or negative impact on the students, which have both positive and negative impact on the students. It's not necessary that these unintended curriculum, that is hidden curriculum, will be having only positive impact on the students. It may be having positive as well as negative impact on the students, and that are not part of explicit curriculum. That is not part of that core curriculum, but that result in changes in what? Changes in the attitudes, beliefs and values of students. Changes in attitudes, beliefs and values of students. So what is hidden curriculum? Hidden curriculum is unintended curriculum. It consists of unintended curriculum which consists of learning experiences, both positive and which have both positive and negative impact on the students, and that are not part of explicit curriculum, which have both negative and positive impact on students, and which are not part of explicit curriculum, but that result in changes in the attitudes, beliefs and values of the students. So the hidden curriculum are lessons that are formally taught or aren't in the lesson plan. They don't have any kind of lesson plans as we make in the formal curriculum. In different subjects we make the lesson plans, but here in informal curriculum or in hidden curriculum, they don't have any kind of lesson plans, unlike this formal curriculum. So the hidden curriculum usually deals with beliefs, values and behaviors, such as to be more responsible or to be more respectful. For example, I will cite some example like not speaking while others speak. It is a part of a culture. We are taught since our childhood in schools and in our family also. What we are taught, not speaking while others speak. That's a part of it, and that is also called as that also comes under hidden curriculum. Like being respectful to others, being courteous to others, and being polite to others. These are things that that is being taught to us indirectly in schools and in family also. So this comes under hidden curriculum because that's not framed in your core curriculum. That is being taught indirectly. So that is being included in your hidden curriculum. Then raising hands for answering or speaking. See, it is in our Indian culture. You might have seen when you want to speak up especially in classrooms or in public areas, you don't abruptly stand up and say. You first politely raise up your hands, and then you show a signal that you want to answer something. So you raising your hands for answering or speaking. Then how to work with others, that is teamwork or social means unitedly, socially, if you are working, that gives a very good impact. So how you should work in team, that also comes under hidden curriculum, like being on time to class, that means to be punctual. That too comes under hidden curriculum. So in fact, school is a place where young minds learn. For example, I'll explain. So school is a place where young minds learn morals. Okay, morals. Then what else they learn? The norms. Then power hierarchies. Then what else? Gender roles. So one by one I will deal. So in fact, school is a place where young minds learn morals, norms, power hierarchies and gender roles. Morals, for example, in schools you are taught not to steal. That is, not to steal. That comes under morals. What else? Then how to be polite. To be polite. You are taught to be polite. You know? Then to respect elders. Then again respect elders. These comes under the morals. Then the norms. Then norms like raising hands to speak. These are the norms that generally you follow in your society, also in your family too. That is raising hands to speak. Then what else? Then tucking your shirt in to look neat. See, if you don't tuck your shirt in, then what? It looks so shabby. So you are taught to tuck your shirt in to look neat and clean. That's all these norms are taught in school. So that also comes under the hidden curriculum. Then comes the power hierarchies. That is the importance of position. You are taught here the importance of position or authority. That is the kind of respect to be shown to peoples in authority. See, in schools, when you go to schools, you might be seeing different kind of people with different powers or positions or authorities. You'll find the principal, you will find the clerk, you will find the peon, you will find the staff, teaching and non-teaching, your teachers, your senior, then juniors, all these things. And there you come to learn whom to give respect according to the hierarchy of power or authority. Here, so this also comes under hidden curriculum. Then your gender roles. See, at times boys and girls especially get special attention or priority by the teachers, different teachers. See, sometimes what happens, many times boys and girls are being treated differently by different teachers. So this hidden pattern of behavior like giving to be biased at times to boys and otherwise to be biased towards girls, behavior might reinforce gender disparities between girls and boys. That is a very negative aspects, but that also comes under hidden curriculum. So here I want to share the opinion of great sociologist, that is Emile Durkheim. So here I want to emphasize about the great sociologist Emile Durkheim. You might have heard of this person. He is a great sociologist. He introduced he gave the idea of socialization. So to him, school did more than teaching information. So school did more than teaching information. The school not only gave the information, but it also taught you morality, taught the students morality, taught us our place in society, where you stand. There was some things that were being taught that weren't in the book. There were so many things that you will not find in the book, but it will be taught in school. it doesn't, the school not only teach about the informations or the academic subjects only, it's about so many moralities also you talk, which will help you to survive in the society. Example, behaviors of the pupil are constantly being reinforced within the classroom. Behaviors, what happens in the classroom, what you see, the teachers constantly reinforce the behaviors. Reinforce means every time they keep on reminding you, no, this is right, this is wrong, do's and don'ts to you. For example, manners such as being courteous. You need to be well mannered, that is being courteous, being polite. These are the things that teachers teach you. Make an effort means hard work. Try to do hard work. And they also inspire you or motivate you. Or keeping the students busy, so that they will be saved from lethargic habits. Keeping the students busy and waiting quietly for your turn. It's not that abruptly you go anywhere and then reach and then you get your things. Not like that. You have to follow the queue. That means waiting quietly for your turn. That means waiting for your turn means here they are also teaching the tolerance in you. Then turning up on time means be punctual. That is turning up on time. That is be punctual. Then what else? Then preparation of bulletin boards, display boards, or quotations, or so many powerful quotes which may give a very different impact on personality building of the students, or behaving or enhancing personal values and behavior. And actually hidden curriculum actually helps in moral development and enhancing the values. It helps in moral development and enhancing values. These are the biggest thing. Even bulletin boards and all, that is the main reason behind that. We keep on inspiring, the teacher keeps on reinforcing the students to prepare the bulletin boards. There are so many codes and which may directly or indirectly help the students to enhance this moral development and values. Now let us talk about the characteristics of hidden curriculum. Let us talk about the characteristics of the hidden curriculum. Characteristics of hidden curriculum. The first characteristics is it is addition in a knowledge. Hidden curriculum is addition in a knowledge because it is not planned or mentioned in syllabus. So it is additional curriculum, or it is additional in knowledge, or you can say it is additional curriculum. It is dynamic in nature. Second is it is dynamic. It keeps on changing. It is never static. How? The cultural aspects of a society change. So naturally you need to change the hidden curriculum. The values also change. The morals also change from time to time. When these values and morals change, naturally the hidden curriculum to follow the same values and morals when changed. Then the third is transmits norms and values. It transmits norms and values. That is natural. See, most of the time you are in school, most of the hours. That's why we always say school is a second home for the child. So most of the time when you are there, indirectly or directly or indirectly, the teacher after her academic teachings, they in every little span of time they teach about morals or values in their natural behavior. So they transmit norms and values. They're easy to understand and follow. It is easy to understand, easy to follow, or easy to understand. Why? Because you have to follow the school norms. and under the school norms only so many hidden curriculum is there. That is, you are following the morning assembly. In that only you are taught many values and norms. Then comes it provides awareness or include both positive or negative aspects. It includes or provides awareness of both positive and negative aspects. Positive and negative aspects. It provides awareness of both positive and negative aspects. Here means negative aspect. Here you may say about the religionism or regionalism they follow in hidden curriculum, or positive aspect like equality, diversity, inequality, or equality. All these things they teach in hidden curriculum. See, at times some institutions are affected by regionalism or religionism, so that is being affected. That negative aspect may be affected. The students may get affected by these negative aspects of regionalism or religionism. So that is a negative aspect of hidden curriculum. So the next is different from formal curriculum or core curriculum. It is totally different from formal curriculum or core curriculum. And then it is unwritten or unofficial. It is unwritten or unofficial. Naturally, it is not official. It is unwritten. Whatever, it depends on the institution what kind of hidden curriculum they want to give. Means the core curriculum has been officially framed, but in this hidden curriculum there is no framing of as such like core curriculum. They frame in the core curriculum, so it is unwritten and unofficial. So like that, students learn unconsciously and indirectly through hidden curriculum. And the 8th point is unconsciously. They learn unconsciously or indirectly through hidden curriculum. Like how they learn unconsciously or indirectly, there is no extra force or effort given to the students to learn this hidden curriculum. For example, they may be attending the morning assembly. Through that only so many values and morals are being transferred to them. They have to follow so many rules and decorum of the school that these hidden curriculum is giving to them. Then campus cleaning, then school beautification, introducing new concepts in the school campus like allotment of duties to check discipline or uniforms, check the uniform of the students, etc., or preparing bulletin boards. All these come under unconscious or indirect learning, and that is also called as hidden curriculum. And the 9th one is, it is lifelong. It is lifelong process. It is lifelong process. Why it is lifelong process? Because it transmits the values, because these activities teach the child to follow in future. Because since childhood, the child learns all these hidden curriculum in the school, and that turns to be his habit, and that is transmitted to the next generation through his as he has imbibed those values from school. So it is a lifelong process. The next is, it has no particular organization. There is no specific particular organization for getting this hidden curriculum, because it happens naturally through socializations in school. Socialization is maximum in school, so it happens naturally through socialization in school. So there is no particular fixed organization, no organization or fixed organizations for this. Then hidden curriculum at times reinforces the existing social inequalities. It also, that is the negative aspect of hidden curriculum, reinforces social inequalities. You know how it reinforces social inequalities? Because that is there is prevalence of status in our society. This is our Indian culture. We have that prevalence of status. Status is there in our society, and inequality in the society, that is inequality based on your class, caste, gender and status. All these inequalities are existing. So if some section of the people have high status, then there will be people with low status, and the same thing they will be treated in the school. So religiously they practice this inequality in school too, because the same pattern they follow whatever is being practiced outside. So this hidden curriculum at times reinforces the existing, or there is a threat. There's a threat that this hidden curriculum reinforces or encourages social inequalities. And the last one is, the last characteristic is, there is no evaluation system or examination system of that kind in hidden curriculum. No evaluation or examination for hidden curriculum. Naturally, there is no right, whatever is doing they have to follow, and there is no examination as it happens in the core curriculum. Examination, evaluation, everything happens, but these things, nothing of like that. So these are the characteristics of hidden curriculum. So let us talk about pros and cons of hidden curriculum. That is pros, that is advantages of this hidden curriculum. What are the advantages of hidden curriculum? Let us talk about the advantages of the hidden curriculum. The first advantage is that every aspect has its positive and negative part. So here too, let us talk about the positive part. This hidden curriculum prepares child for better life. It prepares child for better life. That is, as school guides. When once the child takes admission in school, the school guides through its hidden curriculum that what is good or what is bad, what is right and what is wrong. So it prepares for better life. Prepares for better life. Then what is the second one? Second one is, learner can learn social skills in a better way. That is, they are taught to do teamwork, encourage for cooperative work. So these learners are they are learned to do social work, or they are learned to do social skills in a better way. So they develop social skills. Students develop social skills. Teamwork is encouraged in hidden curriculum. And thirdly, this type of curriculum allows teacher to use different methods to teach the students. Here different methods means to encourage or enhance values in students. Teacher adopts varied methods to influence them. To influence these students so that these students adapt very good norms or values, they have to apply different methods to influence these students or to attract these students to follow those values and norms. So this type of curriculum allows teacher to use different methods to teach students. Use different methods. Then next is, it is dynamic in nature, as I told before, because it accepts or rejects according to time. Whatever cultural aspects are going on in the society, that is accepted, and once the things are not accepted, they won't be followed in hidden curriculum also. For example, I'll tell you, in traditional type of education, the students used to serve the teachers. They used to do all the household chores and everything. They used to do each and every services. They used to give each and every services to the teachers. But times have changed. See the style of the students. It's not like the same. So in hidden curriculum also, as the time change, the hidden curriculum's pattern and things, norms and values also change. So it is dynamic in nature. Then next is, it allows the students to learn more than what is taught in formal settings. Means academic plus moral plus values. See, other than academics, they learn morals, norms and values more than the what is taught in formal settings. Indirectly, the students learn many things. Then sixth is teaches children to obey elders. They teach the courtesy. That means obey elders. This is very important, and it's encouraged in our culture also that we must obey our elders. You might have seen that it is very compulsory and it is very mandatory that we must obey our elders, and the same thing is followed in hidden curriculum to obey the elders, and that is not written. That is naturally happening. And the last one is it helps maintains law and order. This is also one of the another advantage. It helps law and order, helps to maintain the decorum of the school or the decorum of the classroom. If there was no hidden curriculum, it won't be able to maintain such type of decorum in the schools, because they give much importance to norms and values and morals. Now let us talk about the disadvantages. What are the disadvantages? There are so many disadvantages also. The first one is rules and regulations are not clearly defined. It's not rules and regulations are not clearly defined. Naturally, it's not written, so they are following as according to their wish only, so it is unwritten and unframed. That is also a disadvantage. So you cannot force anyone to follow. So people who prefer to follow would follow that. Otherwise, you cannot force as such. Then secondly is there is scarcity of good teachers who can teach this curriculum. That means the scarcity of good teachers. Here why we are saying good teachers, in what sense? Means there's a dearth of teachers with values, dearth of value teachers or teachers with values. That means good values. So because of this, the scarcity of good teachers, this hidden curriculum is not properly transmitted or not properly means it's not executed well in the schools. So sometimes because of the dearth of this good teachers with values, sometimes wrong attitudes, wrong social beliefs and ideas can be transmitted from teacher to students. So because of that, because of dearth of value teachers with value means shortage of teachers with value, the wrong attitudes, wrong social beliefs and ideas can be transmitted from teacher to student, from teacher to student, and that is very, very dangerous. That's very dangerous for the development of the child. That may it's very much difficult that the students may not be able to come up in their life because of this attitude. So it needs very competent teachers who can teach through this method. Very competent means able to deal the more worst situations. The teachers must be competent enough, competent to deal with the students, to give them value or moral education through hidden curriculum. Then needs and expectations of each child vary from each other. So it cannot be satisfied, this hidden curriculum may not be satisfying the need of all the learners. It may not be satisfying the need of all the learner. Why? Because some students or some learners may not be giving much importance to values or norms. They may be giving to competitions. They may not be giving importance to contributions. They may be giving importance to competitions. Once they are giving importance to competitions, they may be giving preferences to only academic issues, not the informal things like developing of the norms and values in them. So they may be so competitive, so they may cross these values and norms because of this competitive attitude. So they may not be following this hidden curriculum. They may not be satisfied with this hidden curriculum. Then sixth is reproduces social inequalities. This reproduces social inequalities. Social inequalities, I told you, like that happens only because of a cultural background and equality of status, inequality of class and inequality of gender. These are prevalent in our society. Unless or until they are not removed from our society, this in social inequality will be there in the schools or institutions in the form of hidden curriculum. It is very dangerous. The inequalities of the society will be also there in our school curriculum through hidden curriculum. Then outdated social rules are reinforced. Here the last disadvantage of hidden curriculum is that outdated social rules are reinforced. People don't want to change. So outdated social rules. There are so many social rules which people are following since long years, but they don't want to change it. It's been continued, so this will continue because of the presence of hidden curriculum. So that is also a disadvantage. So like that, let us move to the next portion. Then now why? So when we have already discussed about the advantages and we have already discussed about the disadvantages. So in short, now tell me why hidden curriculum is important, or what are the implications or need of hidden curriculum. This hidden curriculum is very important because everything we have learned from hidden curriculum will later help us in future, especially in jobs and colleges, as it helps in enhancing personal growth. So why it is important, this hidden curriculum in schools and colleges? It helps in enhancing personal growth. Personal growth, as it helps in imbibing your values and norms, because it helps to act or behave properly in an organization. As you have imbibed so many values and norms because of this presence of hidden curriculum, it also helps to act or behave properly in an organization once out of your school. Then secondly, it is basically norms that are being taught in hidden curriculum. You are being taught norms. In hidden curriculum, norms means you are following unwritten rules, and that becomes your habit, and that should be, and that unwritten rules at times which help you to prosper or develop your personality should be followed. And that you will find in hidden curriculum, and it maintains the status quo of the society. This hidden curriculum also important because it helps to maintain status quo. Status quo means equilibrium or balance in the society, or decorum in the society. Means all the values or norms since the childhood the student learns from the school, and that naturally is imbibed in him, and that helps him to deal with the society in a very normal way. That values and norms are deeply imbibed in that child because of this hidden curriculum that helps him in his later life. Now let us talk about how gender, we have talked about this hidden curriculum, and as this topic comes under this paper, Gender, School and Society, we must link that hidden curriculum with gender biased. So let us discuss how gender bias and hidden curriculum are related. How this gender bias and hidden curriculum are related. How this gender bias and hidden curriculum are related. How they are related? Boys, see, in many ways, see, in schools you will find the behavior, attitude shown towards girls and boys, that through hidden curriculum you will see there are a lot of gender bias happening through hidden curriculum. See, boys are encouraged to do laborious or physical activities than girls. So they are allowed for physical activities or laborious works. Who? Boys. Here also preference is given to boys. So through hidden curriculum you can see the gender bias. Then second, at times girls are treated physically or mentally weak. Mentally too they are treated as weak as compared to boys. Not always. Now times are changing, but still in many remote areas too, people have not changed their thinking. They still think that at times girls are treated physically and mentally weak as compared to boys. So these are weak. Who? Girls. Then third point is, see, you might have seen girls weeping very soon for very petty issues, and that is taken as very normal. And as far as boys are considered, weeping or crying is not an accepted behavior, and for boys it's a shameful act, that been treated as a shameful act. So that is also gender bias. Shameful act for boys, that is crying and all, that is also gender bias and a form of hidden curriculum through this means in schools. Then boys considered much bolder and stronger than girls. Therefore all the responsible authoritative work are given to boys, not these girls. Girls are considered unfit for these authoritative works. So many responsible works are not given to girls because they are considered unfit. They are considered unfit for that. I am just generalizing. Actually things are changing, but still these gender bias are happening, and that gender bias is happening because of these basic things, and it's not necessarily it's happening in every schools, but still if there is happening, and that is happening because of these issues only. And they are given work or assignment, or the boys are allowed to go out of the schools or college premises, but these girls are not allowed. They are supposed to stay in the college premises or the school premises for doing their work. So this is also kind of gender bias, and that also comes under hidden curriculum, because this kind of treatment, they are taking it as a norm. They are treating as a norm. These are all a sort of norms they are following. It's not a written rules or regulations. Norms itself means not a written rules and regulations. So it is happening. They are not allowing for one or the other purpose, maybe for the security purpose also the schools are following such norms. Then again, but the girls feel it for that. Okay, the next is exercises, PT exercises. You might have seen these physical exercises, PT exercises are conducted in school. There also the type of exercises are also different for boys and different for girls. It is not the same for both the gender. There also we feel there is a gender bias, and that is also a part of hidden curriculum. And next is seating arrangements. You see the seating arrangements also in classrooms. You will find separate rows for the girls and separate rows for the boys, and that attitude has not yet changed. It's still happening. That is also a sort of gender biased, and that also comes under a norm or a hidden curriculum. Then separate lines or rows for morning assemblies. In morning assemblies also you will find it's good. I'm not saying it should not be there, but what I want to say is this is the norm the schools are following. That is separate lines for girls and separate lines for boys. These are just a norm, and this also comes under hidden curriculum. Like girls and boys work in separate groups or teams. They work in separate groups or teams. They have, whenever they work, they will be working in different teams. So this is also a portion of hidden curriculum. So this way I have covered the topic hidden curriculum, its definitions and its characteristics, advantages, that is pros and cons, advantages, disadvantages, and why it is important. And also at the same time I have also related it with the gender bias, as it's a part of this paper, Gender, School and Society. So hope students you understood the topic. So thank you.